Francisco, not long ago you said you wanted to come back, where you wanted to be happy. Is that why you came back to Porto? Do you think that the club gave you the reason for that, and you're happy to now be back? And now you've got a big game against Arsenal. If you play tomorrow, what type of player will be on the pitch? Yeah, of course, I'm very happy. I think you can see that on the pitch. And I'm even happier because I'm able to play the round of 16 of the Champions League. We hope that we can win the game tomorrow, so that moment carries on. Diogo Costa spoke about we have to show what Porto is and what Porto can do. What do you want to show tomorrow? Tomorrow at the stadium, where you will play against away fan, you will play against home fans. And regarding this moment, did you know you had to wait and know coming off the bench and sort of establish yourself in the first team? Your manager obviously mentioned how difficult it can be. How did you manage to get over that process to make sure you can start these games? Regarding the first question, I think we have to be a very strong Porto, similar to the first leg, so we can get through to the next round. We're ready. We have the strategy for this game, and if we have everything right and we do what we worked through during the week, then we can get through to this next leg. Regarding starting and playing in the team, I'm another player in the team to train and play in. I try to show that every day whilst training and whilst I play, and I do my best, and that's what I do to achieve that. The first question: Porto don't need to win the game to go through, but sometimes in the world of football, if you think about drawing or holding a result, it's a bit more risky. How were you going to encounter that game? And the second question, and the reaction to the first leg, and the Arsenal players and staff, they weren't very happy with the loss in the Dragão. Is that a warning for yourselves that you're going to find the team more dangerous? What was the first question? Around that, I think that only scoring here in the second leg, is that how we can go through? Because we know that Arsenal is a very strong team. We're going to have a look, going to try and score, because we know we're a big team, and not try to think about what the result of the first leg. Regarding the Arsenal players, I think it's normal. Arsenal obviously are fighting for big objectives, and it's normal after a loss in the first leg. Make it a bit more difficult for them. But we're not really bothered about that. We're more interested about our team and what we're convinced what we can do, and work so in the end we can leave with a victory. First of all, I was able to speak to some fans of Porto. There's a house here in London. There's a big expectation around Porto. People who live in London over 30 years. How do you feel, a Portuguese player? How do you feel that the reaction of these players, and how are the players feeling about this big game after all these big games they've had so far? Yes, we know the importance that the fans have of all these games and all the competitions. We know we're very happy with the support they'll give us tomorrow. We know there's a lot of them that will attend. And I feel that the group is very comfortable. We worked very hard during the week. We worked with our staff. And we know what we have to do tomorrow to hurt Arsenal. regarding you and how you came back to Porto. This is a personal opinion. You haven't changed the way you play, but you're more incisive, you're more aggressive before when you left to join Ajax. Is that a more mental work, or is it more technical? I think the quality is always there. It's normal that a player goes through different phases. I'm only 21, I'm still very young. And I went through that, the learnings you go through as a professional player. I feel like after every moment that goes through with the season, I feel like I'm evolving, I'm developing, I'm working for that. I have been playing a lot. I think the minutes and the teammates and how they help me every day gives me more confidence to help the team. You're on loan, obviously, from Ajax. You have a clause on your contract. Have you decided what you want, if you want to carry at Porto or you want to return? Of course, I want to carry on at Porto. I want to do the maximum number of games and help the team win the trophies that we can achieve. And at the end of the season, we'll see what happens. But of course, I want to stay at Porto. Around the first game, it was of course that Arsenal was very uncomfortable the way you play and how aggressive you were. And now they're sort of reuniting the troops to eliminate you tomorrow here at the Emirates. What in specific do you have to do to fight against that? And also, to speak about, as we're in England, there were a lot of big players and a lot of money involved. Do you think that the manager is one of the best managers in the world? Firstly, without going into too much detail, without saying too much of our strategy, what we worked on, we know have to have a lot of personality and character. We know we're playing the second leg of the round of 16, and only a team that was what was on the first leg around aggressiveness and attitude will manage to get a good result. Around the manager, I think he's one of the best managers in the world. He's proved it a lot. He's proved it at Porto many years, and I know with time he'll be right. One of the doubts that Mikel Arteta said because of injuries, and now they're back. And you are one of the most players who is able to change the game. Who do you think you're going to encounter and face whilst playing? We know that on that position, Zinchenko and Kivior, who played in the first leg. They've got some players who are injured and have returned, who add a lot of value to the team. But all the Arsenal players, they're all very good. They're all ready. I think at this stage in the tournament, they're all ready, and they all have large squads. I think that the football, that's part of football, the environments where there's a lot of passion and a lot of desire to help your team and your Arsenal, and this is obviously Arsenal at their ground, but we also have our fans, obviously less fans, but still a lot more passion and a lot more desire to support us. And then all around after the game or before the game, and that's not what plays. It's what plays are the players and the strategy we define. As Francisco said, the attitude is the plan that we have defined, and that's what plays. Other words are sometimes when you're you have cool down. You say different things. You should want to say those things, but I don't give that much value. When when you have the draw the Champions League, a lot of people said that it was closed off and that the favouritism was given to Arsenal. What type of mission do you have here tomorrow at this stadium? And of course, coming from off a win. We know it's a very hard task. We can't forget that. We can't forget the difference between the teams, between the two leagues, between the 4 big teams in Portugal. But there's a lot more bigger teams here in the Premier League. The Arsenal is the second team with the most value, and we are a team obviously with the less value. But that is what it is. When the ball starts rolling, there's quality on both sides. There's staff which are very adequate. Both benches are, and we need to look to what our team is, observing what our opponent can do with that a lot of quality that they have individually, and collectively that's very well drilled team, and they know all the moments of the game. There's a lot of aggression. There's a lot of pressure that Arsenal does. The tactical layout is very interesting. It's very well trained, and there are a lot of individualities. And any of the players. And you were asking about Zinchenko was coming back. Any player part of the Arsenal squad is very strong. We look at that with respect. We don't look at it as if we're scared. We're here to dispute the game. You obviously hear that you're one of the best managers in the world. Regarding the increase in the and how Francisco has grown, when players on the bench, they obviously are not just seen as a bench player, they're seen as more of a new player that can come on. Of course, there are various players. There's Nico Varela, Evanilson or Pepe Galeno. Of course, they're players who are evolving and developing. We know the quality that they have. Of course, there are moments that they'll go through when they go through a moment because they're not playing as many games, but they still work hard and they know what they have to do to be better players. And the different position, of course, they play in. And it's not easy because when you get opportunity to, but you have to have continuity when you play, and of course, and have a positive response. But in those difficult moments, but then you reach that moment, and then you manage. And there's a lot of young players who have gone through that, and have gone through that same process. You say, Sergio, that the only ones that believe can actually reach what you're trying to achieve. Is it easier for you to believe than Francisco to, because he obviously trains with you, but he still connects with you outside? Is it harder for him to, because he has to obviously hear it whilst at home? Is it, you sometimes hear, obviously he hears how difficult it is about training or games. I don't want to enter regarding the sort of personal element. I think it's unfair. Maybe another time we could. We're worried about a different dynamic when Arsenal has the ball and doesn't have the ball. And that's what's interesting at the moment. Francisco is obviously part of the team, and a young team. Only Pep is that changes the balance a bit. But we're one of the most youngest team regarding average age in this phase of the Champions League. We have a young team with quality, and it's great to represent such a historical team like Porto. Being in the stadium is part of that development. That's what I say. But then the other side of the pressure, and they have to develop winning, and we have to understand that we understand the difference regarding Arsenal. Arsenal have difficult games every week. They're like Champions League games, the most valuable competitive league in the world, and we understand that. And that's why I give a lot of value around behavior. Is we obviously the young players fit very well into the tactics, and they did a very good game against Arsenal. Tomorrow, that's not enough. There's different problems tomorrow. Arsenal will provoke us, and we have to anticipate that, and those problems that we may have. And obviously, Arsenal will have to be more. Would obviously want to achieve more, but not to merit of Arsenal, but merit obviously of Porto. And tomorrow we have a very difficult test, but we're here to go to fight. So as you say during the season that these teams study each other a lot, but Porto did surprise Arsenal. You already mentioned it at the end of the game around the set pieces. You didn't let Arsenal play where they typically like to play and like to have the ball. Is it still possible to surprise Arsenal after that first surprise, or is it a lot harder tomorrow? Each game has its story. Around the characteristics of Arsenal's team, I think that in a situation they could do something different. And we have to understand that's what we're paid to anticipate all these problems. And even during the game, and in all games, we will make adjustments at half-time. And even during the actual game, the players are ready, and they have to be ready for it, because Gabriel Jesus playing up front or Havertz playing up front is very different. It does change something. Trossard or Martinelli playing left, it does change something, even if they have similar characteristics. Jorginho playing in the midfield is different than Rice playing a bit deeper. And Havertz and Odegaard playing in midfield. It changes depends how they obviously start and understand what they didn't do and do in the home leg, and we have to be ready to give that response. And give that response at the defensive level and show the team that we are, but obviously keep looking to achieve and score a goal. And we're here to score goals and to win the game. You're obviously discussing the problems around the issue that you already have. You gave a lot of the ball to Arsenal. You had a lot less ball than Arsenal, but you were able to stop Arsenal from hitting the target. Do you predict a stronger offensive Arsenal and more ball than they had at Porto? Here we're talking about the strategic plan. I think that Arsenal, they did shoot, but it just wasn't on target. They may want to get to the last third in a quicker way. That's a situation that will happen. They in Porto played more supporting each other, but in a very far away from our goal, entering in the final third or our defensive third. As there's a lot of individual quality, we have to remove the team from that area where Arsenal have a lot of very strong players. one-on-ones or crosses or spaces where you normally wouldn't find them. But we have to be ready for that scenarios and what we're going to do, and to obviously stop what they would like to do and be well prepared. Porto is typically never happy in England. They don't have to win. A draw is enough to go through. You, Sergio, have played here various times against strong teams, such as Liverpool and City. Why do you think Porto has such more difficulties playing here in England? Is it that the rhythm is a lot higher, and is an opportunity here tomorrow to change that? The games are all very different. What I just said. It's a team that's at the best league in the world, and they're used to an intensity and a level that's a lot higher than the rest of Europe. And we understand that. We're always very competitive, and tomorrow will definitely be competitive. Yeah. I remember the game at City. We were winning 1-0. We could have done 2-0. The big City of Pep Guardiola, and then there was a penalty, and it was what it was, and the game changed. So the games all have different stories. Tomorrow, new difficulties will appear. We have to look at the opponents, and we have to look at what we can do and what we can't do. Very focused, with respect as well, but not scared, because it's 11 players from Porto who have a lot of quality, but also 5 players who come off the bench, and we're very confident that we can do.